So President Trump wasted no time addressing Biden's pick for running mate while speaking to reporters yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
She was my #1 draft pick, and we'll see how she works out. She did very, very poorly in the primaries, as you know. She was expected to do well. She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh then, now Justice Kavanaugh. She was nasty to a level that was just a horrible thing, the way she treated now Justice Kavanaugh. One of the reasons that surprised me, she was probably nastier than even Pocahontas to Joe Biden. She was very disrespectful to Joe Biden, and it's hard to pick somebody that's that disrespectful.
All right, so Ben Tracy has been following reaction from the White House and joins us now. So, Ben, that characterization as being nasty, that's something that I think the president almost exclusively keeps for women that he has tangled with. Him saying that that was his #1 draft pick, Kamala Harris was his #1 draft pick, I think it's something that we've also heard him say before when talking about a future political opponent, perhaps suggesting, oh, this is somebody who I can beat. He never actually said that. But what are we hearing from the administration, from the president, that could give us a little bit of an inkling as to how the campaign may tackle the news of Kamala Harris being Biden's running mate?
Well, I think what you saw there with President Trump yesterday was him really struggling to kind of land a punch, to kind of come up with any coherent attack on Kamala Harris. So he did revert to some of those tropes that he's used before. He also called her the meanest, most liberal member of the U.S. Senate. And for those who know anything about her personality or her record, it's really hard to make an argument for either of those things being true. So the president's going to have to hone his message a little bit if he plans on going after her. The campaign did a more cohesive job of that yesterday. Just minutes after this selection was made, they dropped an attack ad online that referred to her as phony Kamala, which seems to be the nickname they want to use, and kind of inferring that she's somebody who is willing to change her principles, who is opportunistic, who went after Joe Biden very hard in those debates, almost calling him racist, but now is his running mate. So that seems to be one of the lines of attack that they're going to use. One of the other interesting things the campaign did yesterday is they referred to her in a couple of statements as Joe Biden's political living will. That kind of works in two ways for the campaign. One, for them, it's a reminder that Joe Biden is a fairly old man by presidential standards. But what they're inferring there is that Joe Biden's going to be a one-term president, and if you're voting for them, you're really voting for her. And you can imagine them trying to use that argument down the road.
Yes, of course. So, Ben, turns out that President Trump actually once donated to Kamala Harris when she was running for California's Attorney General. He was a businessman, private citizen. What is the campaign saying about that?
Yeah, public records are a tricky thing. They don't go away. So, yes, then businessman Donald Trump donated a total of about $6,000 to Kamala Harris back in 2011 and 2013 when she was the Attorney General of California. The campaign was asked about this in a call last night with reporters. They first started by saying, as a businessman, Donald Trump has said that he donated to politicians across the spectrum because that's just what you have to do when you're in business. But then they give a very curious argument. One of the senior advisors of the campaign said, I just want to point out that Senator Harris is a black woman, and inferred that Donald Trump giving her money is an argument for why Donald Trump is not racist. So that seemed to be a fairly clumsy argument they were making there. We should also point out that Ivanka Trump, the president's daughter, also gave her $2,000. And the Secretary of the Treasury, Steven Mnuchin, was also a donor to Kamala Harris. So she saw a lot of love from the Trump administration back in the day.
She certainly did. The Vice President, Mike Pence, also weighed in, much more measured, expected response to the news. Let's play what he had to say.
Joe Biden and the Democratic Party have been overtaken by the radical left. So given their promises of higher taxes, open borders, socialized medicine, and abortion on demand, it's no surprise that he chose Senator Harris to be his running mate. You all might like to know that the vice presidential debate is going to be held on October 7th in Utah. So my message to the Democrat candidate for vice president, congratulations. I'll see you in Salt Lake City.
Mike Pence showing a little swagger there in his response. But, you know, he talks about the debate, and I think that's one of the first things that everyone thought of, having seen Kamala Harris grill people during those congressional hearings, every bit of the prosecutor coming out. There's been a lot of talk about how will Mike Pence go toe-to-toe with Kamala Harris in a debate. What's the campaign saying about that?
Yeah, interestingly, you know, on social media in the last 24 hours, you've seen a lot of Democrats kind of foaming at the mouth, very excited about that debate, thinking that Kamala Harris is just going to destroy the vice president. They do have very different styles. I mean, obviously, Mike Pence is a more traditional politician. Kamala Harris, as you mentioned, a former prosecutor who does have sharp elbows when she wants to show them. And obviously what she has done on Capitol Hill with some of these confirmation hearings, she has displayed those skills. So one would think those would serve her well in a debate with Vice President Mike Pence. However, you know, in that clip you just showed, that was more swagger, animation, emotion than we normally see from Mike Pence. So perhaps this has energized him, and we'll see a different side of him as well.
Yeah, that's so true. I haven't seen that Mike Pence in a while. Ben Tracy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.